So in this presentation, I'm going to be talking about my apprenticeship, which is in software engineering, and then also a little bit about apprenticeships in general. And my name's Heather. So there are multiple different ways to go into apprenticeships. Due to the new apprenticeship levy, which came in 2017, there are now more companies offering apprenticeships, which now is across about 1,500 job roles in the UK. Many companies have information evenings, which are like the open evenings you had at school, so you can go to the offices. This was in pre-COVID times, but there are some remote tours available as well, and they tell you information about the apprenticeship. And then you also normally have a Q&A panel as well, so they can be quite useful to give information about the programme which you could apply for. And then the application process itself, it contains application forms. You can then have video interviews. These can either be pre-recorded, so you're just answering questions to a pre-recorded message, or there can be a real person on the other end. Then you can also do values fit questionnaires just to check that your values align with that of the company. And then psychometric tests, so these look at your maths and literacy abilities, and then also there's some cognitive thinking ones, and then there may be some specific ones to the job role as well. And you have to pass all of these typically before you get to the assessment centre, which is where you have the interview. There may be some team exercises so they can assess how you work with the team, and then there's often some other individual exercises as well. Different companies do them in different ways. And they can either be done in hotels or at the offices. So sometimes going to the assessment centre is actually an experience in itself, showing you what the working environment is like. So a little bit about me. So at A-level I did chemistry, biology, maths and physics because I didn't really know what I wanted to do, so I thought doing those kinds of subjects would keep a lot of doors open for me. And then I ended up becoming a software engineer at Ford Motor Company. So based in Essex, we've got an office in Basildon, another one in Stratford, and then there's one in Dagenham as well. I am at the University of Greenwich. I'm completing a Bachelor's in Science honours degree, so that is a real degree which is nationally recognised. So it's not just a special apprenticeship degree. If I decided to leave Ford, that degree would be recognised by other companies. In my apprenticeship, you get to do 2 roles for 2 years across the 4-year programme. My first role was in the Global Order to Delivery team as a software engineer. The Global Order to Delivery team works on the ordering systems and the order banks. So these manage the orders made from when you make your order in a dealership or on our website to then when the vehicle is made available to you. As part of this, I coded individually and then with a small group to make sure that the system kept running as it should be and any new features were made and added successfully. My second role was within the Service Engineering Operations department, again as a software engineer. During this, I worked on the vehicle owner literature system, so this involved managing the content within all of the owner manual booklets which you get within your vehicles, so the ones which tell you how to change the wiper blades, replace the headlights and bits like that. So with that, I coded individually this time and also managed the transition to a new supplier. So in addition to my role, there are other roles available within Ford IT. So that can be a product manager, so you help run the team. And in some cases, when you become more experienced, you can actually run the team yourself as an apprentice. Then you have a software tester, so the software engineer writes the code and then the tester checks it does what it's supposed to, and when it's uploaded into the application still does what it's supposed to. And then you have a product designer, so they design the user experience, so they look at typically websites and applications and they design them so that it looks how it's supposed to and it's not all clunky and it's easy to use. Then you've got a database administrator, so they check that the databases are all running as they should be and any code which needs to be run on them adheres to our security procedures. And then a systems analyst, so they just look after a system, check that it's all working, and if there are any problems they can fix it. So During the apprenticeship, there are many different opportunities available to me. So there are apprentice and graduate working groups and social events. So this includes stuff like barbecues. We have quiz nights as well, and sometimes we all go out together and go bowling. So that's quite nice because then you make some friends as well, which helps you when you're working. And then there are some training courses which you can go on. So I've done a few on soft skills. You've got like presentation skills and communication. So they're quite good to sort of add a bit of depth to the roles that you're learning. And then we also have charity events. So each year at Ford we get 2 days where we can go and help out in the community. So it could be gardening, helping some places do DIY, like old people's homes and bits like that. So they're quite good as well because you get to work in your local area doing stuff outside of your job. There are many benefits to being an apprentice. First one, which I think is the biggest one, is you get paid. So while at university, you do not get, outside of your university grants and loans, any wages coming in unless you have a part-time job. While at Ford, I get a full wage, the same as other apprentices and similar to some of the graduates they take on as well. So this means that I'm able to add to my savings for the future, especially where at the moment I'm living at home. You get to do a real job, so you're not just someone who goes and makes the tea. You can add value to your teams at your young age, and sometimes being young means that you have new perspectives on some of the things which the teams are doing. And this sort of leads into my next point about how you learn loads of new skills at work which university doesn't give you. So I've found that my confidence has improved massively while working at Ford, purely because I am often the youngest person in the room, which means that sometimes I feel like my opinion didn't matter, but actually saying what you think and adding to the team, and they sort of see your viewpoint and actually think that's a good idea, that makes you feel really good inside and makes you feel like that you belong within the team and you're not just the apprentice. And then for some apprenticeships you get a guaranteed job at the end of the placement, which takes a weight away from your mind, because when you're at university you graduate and then you come out and you've got to enter the job market with a load of other students who've also graduated at the same time as you, whereas for me, I will graduate at the end of the apprenticeship and I will have another job to go to, or I will only be competing with the 8 other people on my programme. So there are some challenges to being an apprentice. So the main one is balancing working and university. So I'm at university 1 day a week and the rest of the time I'm working full time, so 9 to 5. So this can be quite a challenge, especially when you've got a lot of assignments on at the same time, but it's just a case of balancing and making sure that you're not neglecting your uni work for your job and for vice versa. So like I said, being the youngest person in the room can be a challenge, but it is something which you adjust to, because also compared to being at school and in college, you're sort of scheduled to be places at certain times, whereas when you're at work, that's completely different. So that's something which you adjust to and learn, but actually you'll find later on that you much prefer that kind of environment to the really rigid schedule which you had at school. And so like I said, being the youngest and least experienced person in the room. So just to wrap up, I've got a few myths and sort of the real life situation to do with apprenticeships. So first one is apprenticeships are only for mechanics and people who are not academic. So this used to be the case, that typically it would only be hands-on sectors where you could get an apprenticeship, but now, as I said, with the levy which came in 2017, many companies have started offering programs in all different sectors. So you can work for GSK in pharmaceuticals, Balfour BT in civil engineering, and then GCHQ in helping to protect the company with us, or protect the country with our Secret Service. So another one, being an apprentice means you miss out on the university experience. So sort of my interpretation of the university experience is moving away from home and sort of being able to fend for yourself. There are apprenticeships available across the country. So if you wanted to move away from home, you could. And from the social side, you can also socialise with other apprentices, and you won't have to worry too much about the money side like you would as a university student. So a lot of people, they go to university because they're not really sure what they want to do yet. So they'll think about it when they've got a degree. But I was in that position. So your best bet is to go for something interesting, or which you think might excite you. But it's a case of when you do an apprenticeship, you get real world life experience as well, which you don't get at university. So when you come out in 4 or 5 years' time, as you would if you'd gone to university, you would actually be in a better off position, and you might have found a job which you want to keep doing for the rest of your life. And it's much easier to apply to UCAS. So some of you may not be aware that you have to actually pay to send off the UCAS application. So you don't have to pay to apply to apprenticeships, and also you don't have to write a 4,000 character personal statement either. Thank you for watching this presentation. I hope that what I've presented to you has been of use and you have enjoyed it.